Hello everybody, today I have a giant CFL for all of you. This is something you really don't come across much anymore, but I suppose something like this particular version of CFL you might actually be able to find still. This one is for photography, and it says it all over the bulb. I'm wondering if they used that as a reason to get around some type of regulations on these bulbs containing mercury, obviously, and to still be able to manufacture them, versus them going away entirely for LED. And, well, I don't know. Either way, it's a giant CFL. I picked this up the other day at the thrift store, and I thought, how fitting. I was just talking to somebody online the other day about these giant CFLs and how cool it is to, well, here, we found one. Let's make a video on one. Anyway, this is the front of the packaging. This is all it has on it. It just says non-dimmable 65 watt CFL. Well, 85 watt if I can read things. 65 was a pretty common wattage for these back in the day. This one must be a little bit of a higher one. They say it equals a 400 watt incandescent. And they do have a very nice label here. Don't screw it in by the bulb. You want to screw it in by the ballasted base. We do have some information here on the side. I'm going to guess that that's the actual manufacturer. Not entirely sure. Made in China. Not really a surprise there. $3 isn't bad for something like this. Not sure what the little sticker's for. I'm guessing somebody got this on Amazon. It's one of those stickers you see on everything on Amazon. And it came with a 6-month warranty. Interesting. Damaged and defective bulbs. So they really stood behind their CFLs. So let's take it out of the box here. And we got our styrofoam. A lot of them came in this styrofoam style package. They are quite fragile, you know. You got this big tube going on here. And this isn't that heavy, actually. It seems pretty light, weight-wise. I'd say the tube is probably the size of a T6. It's not T5. In fact, here's a T5 bulb. Oh, I mean, it could be T5. That does kind of look like T5, don't it? Yeah, okay, we'll go with T5. It looks like T5. So there's the brand. I guess I didn't notice that the first time, but some photography brand. For photography. It's 110 to 130 volt, 50-60 hertz, 85 watt, 1.2 amps. Now, a lot of these giant CFLs had this kind of turquoisey green, separator here that separates the ballast and the bulb. And I'm sure they did that to separate the heat, to try to extend the life of the ballast from the lamp itself here, the tube. Not much else on it, really. We do have some ventilation here at the top, so if it is in base-up operation, you can get some air flowing through this, which is super helpful for these giant CFLs. Here it is compared to a standard 100 watt incandescent, if I can actually hold it in camera frame. Yeah, the thing's massive. And, of course, let's compare it to something a little bit more fun. Here's a 250 watt mercury vapor bulb and a 400 watt mercury vapor bulb. So it's definitely more the size of the 400 watt bulb here, but I am sure it has nowhere near as many lumens as a 400 watt mercury vapor or even a 400 watt metal halide. Those would really outshine this. But as I'm sure many of us have seen out in the wild, a lot of people have converted their metal halide mercury vapor fixtures to these giant CFLs before going to the corn cob LEDs that we see everywhere. And this was nowhere near the brightness of these original high-intensity discharge bulbs. So enough rambling. Let's go ahead and get this thing into our socket here. And let's turn it on. Here we go. Yep, it's certainly daylight. And it certainly is going to need a minute to get to full brightness. This would be perfect for like a work light or something. I mean, photography, absolutely, because of the color temperature. And we'll take a look at it with our spectrometer here in a little bit. But as it's warming up here, we might as well just get some readings while we're waiting. And then we'll get some readings once it is at full brightness. So we're currently at 117 0.8 volts, 0.94 amps, 71.1 watts, and a power factor of 0.63. So I'm going to let this thing sit here for a little bit. We'll make sure it's at full brightness, and we will return. So this has been sitting for a couple minutes now, and it's most certainly at full brightness. This thing is incredibly bright to look at. So let's go ahead and hold it at our 2-foot mark up here. And it's so bright we can't even get a reading here. This is times 10. So about, 2,000 or so lux. Yeah, it's about that if we hold it steady enough. And let's take a look at our readings again. We're at 118.2 volts, 0.87 amps, 65.6 watts, and a power factor of 0.62. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. What is the spectrum of this thing, since they really want you to use it for photography? Well, here we go. Let's save it. The spectrum of the bulb, the CRI of the bulb, and the white balance of the bulb. Yeah, this thing is certainly bright. It would light up a room nicely. The ballast isn't too much of an annoying hum. It's quite quiet, actually. Of course, the tube itself is incredibly hot. Just something you do not see anymore. You know, you got all the LED lighting. In fact, the studio lights that I have, which are pretty cheap, junky ones anyway, they're LED, and they seem to work fine. But a lot of them you can still find online, still come with these giant CFLs, until they decide not to anymore, I suppose. Just something that didn't last for very long. I loved seeing these in all kinds of weird outdoor installations where it just did not work at all, because it was just so comical to see them in acorns and, you know, random post top street lights, area lights, things that it just, should have never been. Very unique CFL from another era. Let's turn it off. So, before we go, why not put it on the Variac here and give it a go? See what it likes or doesn't like about it. So we're at 120, 100, 80, 70, 60, 50. It's definitely dimmed down quite a bit, but it's still glowing. 40. It's still there. It still has an arc. Ooh, look at that. It's still glowing. It hasn't gone out yet. Let's turn off our lights. Wow. That's about like a novelty light. It's about to go out, but it's not there yet. That is interesting. Look at how it's playing with the camera too, kind of giving that green glow. A little bit more. Here we go. Oop, there it's out at about 32. And we're back on at about 38 volts. We can slowly bring it back up to 120. Very cool. We got our dimmer. Let's see what we get. Ooh, it hates that. Okay, so I was going to test it on the dimmer, but all it does is flicker really badly and make a lot of noise. So I don't really want to have that on camera. That's not the best idea. Yeah, it does not like the dimmer at all. No surprise, really. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video taking a look at a giant CFL bulb. As always, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, be sure to give it a like down below and leave a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more great videos like this one. Also check out my secondary channel Merkove and subscribe over there for more behind the scenes and alternative content. Of course, check out the other videos here on this screen, and as always, thank you very much for watching.